Alrighty lads, we are back. This time with, what would your life be like if you were a vampire in Kain's empire? Well, let's start off with first, how did you even become a vampire? You see, there are multiple ways that you can become a vampire in the Legacy of Kain universe. So, let's talk about it. You could have been a corpse that Melchiah resurrected through necromancy. Many vampires in society would question where exactly did you come from, as no one's really seen you before when you were a human. So how come they never met you until now? And here you are, just this fledgling vampire. But in order to protect your clan's dignity and to protect your own identity, and more importantly, to keep yourself alive, you just simply lie. You just say that you were always a vampire. Just that you were busy doing smaller duties within the necropolis of Melchiah's clan. This way you keep yourself safe, and this way the other vampires cannot actually investigate unless they were a Melchahim themselves. You could have also been a human. There's many ways that you could have been a human and ended up as a vampire after all. The most classic is being bitten. Another way is through magic, as we just talked about with necromancy. But let's talk about if you were a human who was in Kain's empire already. What if you were a human who was in the blood farms? Well, you see, your life is to just exist to feed and donate blood to the vampire overlords who are watching over you. Now, usually Zephon of the Zephanim typically recruits humans as spies within other clans' blood farms. So you can prove yourself as a very cunning individual, easily marking yourself for Zephanim by showing that you can manipulate a crowd or that you can steal something from a guard who's a vampire and not get detected. Show that you can eavesdrop and listen on vampire activities and then come to your other human allies and go, watch out, they're going to start doing this to us tomorrow. This would mark you for the Zephanim, and the Zephanim would easily be like, you're a very useful tool. I'm going to have to make you into a vampire so you're one of us. Another way you could do it if you decide not to be part of the Zephanim is you could just simply use your political intrigue and your machinations to sneak past your guards and then present yourself in front of the other vampire lords who are much higher up than your vampire guards and show them that there may be a plot to overthrow them by the guards, or that maybe this guard is so pathetic, I could do a better job. Like, look, I know this human, I know his weaknesses, I know this human, I know how to deal with this. It's just your guard, who's a vampire, is not cutting it. And the individuals in question may be so impressed that they may uplift you into a vampire of whatever clan it is. It could be the Rahabim, it could be the Melchahim, it could be a lot of them. Another way that you could do it is if you're a warrior of extreme skill. This is the more obvious route. Now, you could be a warrior who was a feral human, basically a human who's out wandering the waste, and you're so skilled that you're able to take down a vampire, possibly even two of them, and this would draw a lot of attention. Taking out two vampires in full armor with their weapons, and you just took them out? Now, whenever eventually you do get taken down, the vampires may decide, this human is too good, we need him as our clan. So they may give you the option. They may say, you can die now, with any understanding of the world forever gone. You don't really know your place, you don't really know anything. We could teach you, we can give you this power. And also, if you're a warrior who's just focusing on your own skill and your own prowess, they offer that. They could teach you how to better use your strength, how to better use that skill that you already have. And here, you can ascend to Dark God status, ascending into a vampire of any clan that has currently taken you down, whether that's a Dumahim, Torellum, anybody. Now, of course, it's a more bland origin, so you may decide that you want to do an origin that's more interesting in this vampire universe. You may decide that you want to be a magically gifted individual. Magic is very rife in Nosgoth. A lot of people are mages. Now, This may have happened because you were some hermit in a cave practicing arcane sorcery where the feral clans of the humans kicked you out because they just didn't like the magic that you were practicing. After all, you're probably breaking a lot of traditions with the magic that you're doing. Another could be that you were an assistant to a vampire mage. You're just some human slave who keeps fetching him scrolls, cleaning his house, whatever. That's your goal in life. But as you're running around carrying all these scrolls, as your master sleeps during the day, you may sneak out on all your spare time and read these scrolls. Teach yourself how to read. Teach yourself what it is that these scrolls can do. And in doing so, you find out that you yourself are able to conjure this magic. You yourself are able to draw from this magical knowledge. And eventually you might actually get caught. Eventually your own master would catch you drawing this magical power, and he would go, wait a minute, you were able to understand this by yourself? You want to be a vampire? Because even vampires wouldn't be able to understand that. And here you are, you're just whipping it out. Another thing is that you could have just been that hermit in a cave practicing foul magic. And vampires discover your cave, and as you're blasting these vampires left and right, finally they pin you down. And one of the vampires would recognize your talent and go, wow, I have never seen a human so magically gifted. You know, we need magic in our clans too. This could be magic like learning how to summon some skeletons to help fight for us. It could also be magic like how to multiply a blood supply with just sheer magic instead of having a ton of humans. You can even use magic to spy on other clans and learn their positions with just magic alone. You could even be just a mage who blocks magic like that from assaulting your clan. Now, the last way of being a vampire, the last origin, I would say, would be somewhat of a sneaky adventurer. Someone who explores the unknown. You've traveled Nosgoth your whole life. You've been able to stay under the radar because your family has taught you how to stay under the influence of vampires. You're able to sneak around, maybe able to explore a canyon without ever alerting vampires you're around. Eventually, you will be caught. And it could be when you're a youngster, it could have been when you're an old man. But finally you are caught and rounded up by vampires. When the vampires are inspecting what they've caught, you can reveal yourself that you know the geography of this location better than anybody, and that you can show them secret passages to get to and from areas that they never have known. If they were a Rahab faction, the Rahabim, they would definitely take interest of you and go, ooh, that's interesting. You have a crave to explore and discover the unknown? That's what we're all about. Or it could just be that he's just another vampire clan, in which case he's not too impressed that you know the area. And he may just say, all right, you're somewhat useful as a scout, so I'm going to keep you as my personal slave. And I'm just going to have you scout out for us and tell us what to expect in the future. And one of these days, as you're doing your job for your new overlord, you discover a possible ambush. It could be an ambush of another vampires, or it could be an ambush of a bunch of feral humans. Either way, have you not told your captain that this is going to happen, he would surely die. So by telling him that, hey, you know, we're in the same boat here, there's an ambush right around that corner, you and your men should go around this way and get them instead of you. By doing so, he would be so impressed, he would say, you know, you could join us. Someone with your talent who's able to map out ambushes like that. Sure, we may be the Torellum, where we're not really fit for this kind of thing, but you can add to that strength in our clan by bringing this talent into it. It's a different way. It's definitely different, but it is one of the origins you could start off as. So, now that you are a vampire, what is your life like now? Because now we're finally in the meat of things. You're finally a vampire. Well, depending on your origins, you have different avenues of life. You have different jobs available. You have different ways of growing, I should say. So, let's just start with the basics. What every clan would do. Now that you're a vampire in Kain's empire, you must learn your place. You must learn the clans. You must learn your own clan's history. You must learn your own clan. Who's the leader? What's he all about? What vision does he have for the clan? And then you have to adopt this as your identity. You have to adopt the doctrines that your clan is procuring for itself. And here you're also going to learn things like what's the hierarchy of things, who's the top dog, who's the lieutenants, who's the ones below them, who are the captains, who are the commanders, who do you report to, and what's the chain of command. You're going to learn the overall rules of society, like can I fraternize with someone in a different clan? You may or may not. And you're going to have just an overall guide on what is expected of you. What would you be expected to get? What would you be expected to learn if you do this or if you do that? What are these jobs like if you work them? What kind of prospect would you have if you do decide to go down certain routes? So, the clan will have jobs for you. The clan that you have joined will definitely give you something to do. These jobs is probably going to be mundane work because you're a fledgling. You're a brand new vampire. You're better than a human, but not by much. You have skill. You have talent. But it's not really... You haven't impressed enough yet. You have to kind of earn your weight in blood. You have to really work some grease into the life. So, you could just be assigned guard duty. And that's what you'll stay as for the next 20 years, is just guard duty. For some people, that may be a good thing. After all, if you came from the blood farms, you already know what the humans are planning. You already know how the humans are skulking away in their favorite hide spot. So you're going to start busting in, you're going to start making yourself look good. You could be on guard duty and you were just a sneaky adventurer. Now you're just sitting there like, I don't know what a blood farm is. I guess I'm just supposed to watch these guys. And you may be bad at your job. That's why you're going to be there for 20 years. You're just a fledgling vampire, no better than a human, kind of. So, it's time to get to work. It's time for you to start learning society, for you to just stay down under the radar, just like you were adventuring, and just listen. Hear what people talk about. See what people do. This is why you're going to be assigned mundane work. You may also be in blood banking. You could be a scholar. You could be just essentially a politician where you just help dress and help present your own lord before the council. And that's all you are, just kind of like a glorified butler. Now, all this is going to earn you some pay, but over time, really what's important is that it's going to get you connections. You're going to start to learn who do you go to for certain things. If you need new pieces of armor or clothes tailored for you, you're going to slowly find out who to go to, where's the place to be. You're going to also slowly learn who is the person that you don't want to be on the bad side of. Also, you're going to learn the laws and the rules. What are some things I should watch out for? What's illegal? What's not? What can I get away with if I'm good enough at sneaking? This is going to be constant work. And you're going to have very little spare time because after all, these are very mundane jobs that are needed for the foundation of society. And you may have a person who's on guard duty and he's older than you by like 200 years. So he's a much greater vampire than you, yet he's still working the same shitty job you are. You can learn from this. You can learn like, wow, you've been just a paper pusher your entire life. You're not the head of the bank. You're just some lowly grunt who's just writing checks like me? Yep. How did you end up that way? Well, you see, I tried to do some political maneuvering and it backfired. Turns out I pissed off the wrong guy, and it turns out he did favors for my boss. It's like, okay, now you're learning. You're learning, okay, I gotta watch out for this. I gotta watch out for that. This guy's life is screwed. He's 200 years old, still doing the shitty, low-work job. His life's forfeit. Your life is new. You have an opportunity. So, with the constant work, you learn that there are some people you need to impress. There are some people who you may not want to impress them, but you don't want to be on their bad side either, because life could just get difficult. And there are some people who are just going to step on your shoes. Maybe another fledgling who came in through the same origins you had. Maybe he was a mage just like you, but he seems to be better. He seems to be more talented. And it seems like more eyes are on him than on you. You're going to have to grin and bear it. You're going to have to be mindful of your own self. Now, see, while we're on that topic of being mindful of your own self, you're going to have to remember that you've heard many stories and whispers throughout the halls and throughout vampire society, everywhere you walk, whether it's to a little blood drink where you just go in and pick up your daily ration of blood, or whether it's just on your way home or on your way to your job. You hear vampires talking about weaklings being casted out into the abyss, traitors being killed and thrown away into the abyss. Upon hearing this, you realize you need to bolster your skills and talents. You need to utilize your strength or bolster your weaknesses to secure yourself in your position. Because if you don't, if you become complacent, if you decide just to waste away and just keep doing your little ink and quill job, you will be ousted as a weakling. And surely someone's going to notice and report you, and you will be casted out in the most gruesome death imaginable, which is in the abyss. So, you have to spend every waking night, every waking day, you have to spend at work, practice, learn, repeat. You have to just keep on doing this over and over. It's going to be a rough 20 years. It could be 50, it could be 100 years you're doing this. It is going to be rough. You're not going to have time to really relax. You're not going to have time to really sit down and learn something new. No, you have to just focus on yourself. What is something that you already brought to the table? Are you a good warrior? Okay, start swinging that sword until you're really, really good at it. Are you a mage? Okay, keep practicing that same spell over and over again. You don't have new material to work with because you don't have time to read a book or to read a new scroll and get new power or explore some lost archive and delve into his knowledge. No, you don't have time for that. Your job right now as a fledgling vampire is just that, to grow. So, focus on yourself, focus on your strengths. You could also focus on your weaknesses. Like if you're a mage, you may decide, okay, that other fledgling vampire who's stepping on my shoes is much more magically gifted than I am. He's going to probably develop his magic as much as he can. I, on the other hand, am going to discover my strength, my personal strength. And I'm going to do weights, I'm going to get stronger and stronger. So that way, if I do meet an opponent like him who is magically better than me, I can prove to my superiors I'm still stronger than him, despite the talent advantage, because I can personally beat him down to a pulp once his magic runs out, or I can outmaneuver him politically and become friends with people even higher up than he is. You may need to do this in order to survive in Kain's empire. It's not easy. You may also be a crafty spy and learn how to scout terrain better. This way you can be more than just a politician. You could also be an assassin. There is a lot of interesting maneuvers you could do. You can also learn Kain's court, the way Kain conducts his court, and the way politics is maneuvered in this empire. So you may be a warrior who's amazingly big and strong. You're a Tyrellum at heart. You can easily, one hand, crush a pillar. But you realize that you can't rely on just that strength alone, because other Tyrell are also as strong as that. So you may learn how to do this political maneuvering scheme, how to read people really well and get down to what their intentions are. You can easily make yourself appear respectful to the elders. You can also make yourself stand out. Either way, your unlife as a fledgling is going to be a chore. It is going to be busy. Life is not going to be easy, and time is going to fly because you're going to be so busy. You're going to find out that life wasn't easy and the afterlife is not any different. Later in life, you can finally secure yourself a position of worth in the empire. This could be because you're a commander of a vampire clan where you now lead a bunch of guards, or you could be like a head accountant of the clan's bank. Either way, you have secured yourself a position. This is after 100 years, this could be after 50 years, it could be after 20 years if you're really gifted and really talented. Either way, these positions of power were not given to you. You earned them. You are now no longer a fledgling. You have outgrown your weaknesses. You're not so adversely affected by sunlight anymore. You'll still take a bit of damage from it, but you're not going to outright just die from just sunlight. You're much stronger now. Either way, with sheer skill and determination, you now have more free time to spend on other pursuits. Now you can actually spend time to give yourself an advantage that others do not have. Maybe you decide that you want to overthrow your superior, and the only way to do that is to fight him outright. Well, you're just a spy. How are you going to fight him? So you may decide to go out adventuring and exploring and learning that there are other people in other clans who also hate your superiors. So you may orchestrate a fight between a Torellum and your Rahabim overlord. That way, when he gets killed, you can fill in the position. Or you may decide that while you're out doing your job, and now that you have extra time, you decide to learn a new skill. Like maybe you learn blacksmithing, and here you design your own blade that does really well against vampire skin. So now that you have this extra time and this extra time to develop new skills, whether it's new contacts or whatever, you can now utilize them to secure even higher positions. This is, though, where life gets pretty difficult and also more interesting. You see, now that you're no longer a fledgling vampire, you're going to be given options, a lot of options. You can decide to perform duties that strictly are for the Empire. Kain himself may give you an assignment saying, hey, I need you to do this. Now, you can't refuse it, but at the same time, you may decide that you're a vampire who may focus more on his clan's duties. Like, I'll do this for the Empire, but really I want to spend a lot of my time on my clan. It could be the Melkahim, it could be the Rahabim, the Torellum, whatever. You may have really adopted those ideals. You may be like, you know what? I really do like establishing a spy network like my elder Zephon does. So, I'm going to keep focusing on that. I'm going to keep investigating other people's blood farms. Or maybe I'm going to discover a mage who can cast really good spy magic so we can see into the very house of a clan elder. Maybe that's what you'll focus on. You could be another vampire like a certain Torellum that I know, where you actually don't really care for the clan that much. You care more about the Empire as a whole. So you may actually take up jobs for Kain personally, where Kain himself comes to you and goes, I can rely on you. You're a very, very talented individual. I need you to do this for me. And you may not even understand the job. It's going to be just like that Torellum in Soul Reaver 1. There is a moment in the game where you come across a Torellum that is loyally guarding a sewer. And while he is guarding it, he is holding on to this artifact that allows someone to conjure up energy and blast from a distance. It's basically a magical item. But either way, this Torellum had shown himself to Kain as a very vigilant, a very dutiful person. And maybe in life that's what he was like too, where he was very dutiful, a warrior of high honor and vigilance, but he probably stood out over other vampires and other Torellum because of how patient he was, how vigilant he could be over long periods of time, how little blood he needed to actually drink to stay sane. And this is where Kain would have been like, hey, your life is basically going to spend thousands of years sitting inside a sewer, but you're doing this for the Empire. And really your purpose is to get killed by Raziel. But still, that would probably be what life would be like for you if you decide to focus on the Empire. You would probably impress Kain by a certain margin. And that's where Kain himself would start writing you letters and start saying, hey, I need you to do this. Hey, I need you to do that. And that's what you could do. You could decide, you know what? I just got a letter from Kain that I'm supposed to stop an ambush that Rahab and Zephon are about to do on each other. It doesn't benefit my clan, and really all it benefits is the Empire, because then both clans are stronger individually because they didn't waste their resources against each other, but it might make you enemies amongst the clans. It's all up to you at this point. As the vampire individual, it is up to you if you want to be that person. That person who kind of forgoes the clan identity and forgoes everything you've learned just to focus on the Empire. You could, this is the most interesting one, you could decide that maybe it is time for a new clan to rise. Maybe you should be the leader of a clan. After all, you have shown that you're capable. You have contacts throughout the Empire. You've done just about a favor for everybody. So maybe you are strong enough to create your own clan and possibly overthrow one of the major clans. Maybe you'll garner enough strength, wealth, and cunning that you can overthrow the Melkahim, which would be your best bet. Or maybe you're just deciding to form a minor clan because you want to do something different for the same clan leader. Like, in other words, you're still loyal to Zephon. You're just not going to be a Sephonim, you're going to be a Zephonim minor clan. And you may be the warriors of Zephon, where you're just simply all the warriors who are part of the Zephonim, and that is it. You still serve Zephon and the Zephonim, but you're just a minor clan specifically dedicated to one goal, which could be warriors. Spy warriors. Wouldn't that be interesting? That could be you. You may decide, you know what? I'm tired of this. I don't think being a warrior is all that life can be. I'm going to go practice magic. And you could be a Torellum mage and decide to become something different. Form your own clan of just mages or Torellum specifically who are very good at magic. This way you're bolstering your clan, but you're also creating a new identity along with it. But of course you do have to be aware that every vampire in the Empire is also playing this game, and now your life is going to be forevermore in this constant game of, okay, what clan's doing what am I doing? And maybe I can look at legends of old, like Kain's adventures, where you hear adventures of Kain when he was a fledgling, just adventuring across Nosgoth and discovering ancient artifacts like bone armor or flesh armor that was just amazing. Or maybe you may discover weapons like his giant axes that were just bloodthirsty and could just rip apart anybody. So, you may decide that's the way it is. Forgo all your contacts, forgo your position, because now you've garnered enough personal strength that you decide, even if I do come back to the Empire, I'll be strong enough to easily reassert my position of old, because the top guys are still going to be there and they're still going to recognize me. You may decide that. You may die in your adventure, or you may actually find some magical artifacts. Like you may find, you could be a Dumahim, and you find a legendary blade that isn't quite as good as a Soul Reaver. Nothing will ever be as good as Soul Reaver. But you still find a blade that's able to beam out sunlight. It's a human creation for sure, but hey, a vampire wielding something that could damage other vampires, that's easily going to mark you out and make you come back and take out whoever has been a threat to you in the past. This would be the life of a vampire in Kain's empire. This would be, I would love to see as a roleplay instance where me and maybe a few of you guys, my subscribers, can comment down below and we can maybe form a Dungeons and Dragons type scenario, a Dungeons and Dragons type world where we can roleplay in Kain's empire. We can flesh out cities, we can flesh out all these interesting backstories and meld them into very interesting situations where, again, humans are pretty weak and pretty pathetic, but they do have nasty contraptions that can easily kill a vampire. And then you can also be dealing with certain political intrigues. You may not be able to persuade somebody. In fact, you fail a persuasion so badly that now everyone in your clan has turned against you because they're like, whoa, what? You just made the clan look like idiots in front of Kain's court. Like, what? So now you're ousted as pretty much just an idiot, and now everyone's going to kill you. This could be interesting, and this is what I could see as Life of a Vampire in Kain's Empire. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I know I have. Besides that, this was a bit lengthier than I anticipated. But hey, now that I'm monetizing my stuff now, I decided, let's increase the quality here. Because no more just pictures. How about let's get a face with the beautiful ads. So besides that, see you guys next time. This has been Free to 700. I am out. Please comment down below about this, because I think it would be a great idea. We could do like a World of Darkness roleplay where it's Kain's Empire instead. Besides that, see you guys next time.